Sure.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second game of the night. We got two teams here facing off, and remind me, Miko, who the two teams we got playing here are?
Well, I don't believe they can hear me,
Small
but I'll
issue.
jump
I
in
am
and say it's
updating.
I believe it's Tomahawk Mishaps versus Captain Morgan's Lads.
Yeah. Tomahawk Mishaps and Captain Morgan's Lads. Gonna be a fun one here. I believe the Captain Morgan's Lads and the Tomahawk Mishaps, both of these names actually coming through from other leagues. I know Blue, the leader for the Captain Morgan's Lads, actually used that moniker as well in the previous league, and then Timberland taking that name from some previous gaming groups he's been in. But yeah, gonna be a fun one. Got Kazuto here with me on the desk doing the play-by-play today. Just kidding.
Sure.
Enjoy.
Oh, just I'll drop the Tigress cast.
Just the ice water running through your veins. But yeah, I'm
Going
excited
in.
to get it off here today. Not super familiar with these rosters, but I'm sure once we get into the game and see the drafts and stuff, we'll be able to kind of pick it apart a little bit.
See, Gwen first pick coming through. I know Captain Morgan's Lads has Kid Buu Jungle. They also have Fluffy Top. I'm not a knower of if he plays the Gwen, but still the potential for a flex pick.
Yeah, I know that Boo definitely plays the Gwen. Fluffy is kind of a carry player, known for his Irelia and his Kale, both of which notably still available, opting for the Tomahawk Mishaps, opting to ban away Braum, Senna, and Smolder instead, which, good bans. Senna, Smolder, very strong right now. Braum super annoying, but going to take for themselves Zach and the Victor, so already kind of leaning towards some team fight combo.
Yeah, we can see Captain Morgan's Lads only opting for one Nitros ban, so Nitros has a lot of options holding his pick here. He can see what they pick, 2-3, maybe go R3 with his pick.
Yeah, Nithers actually, not a lot of people know this, but Nithers actually gets 2 picks per draft. He picks the 80 carry champion and he also picks the support champion. So we're going to see what Nithers wants to take for his second pick here. If they do opt to go for that support. Nithers, notorious draft controller for the bottom half of the map.
Yes, but that is all he controls, because once the game starts, then his support just mind controls him for the whole game.
That is true. That is true. Shout out whatever that guy's name was. I forget.
I think he's in the chat. I think it was Aldrados who said that.
The infamous Zaldratus. And that's the Zyra take in there. So crucially, this actually used to be an OP bot lane combo with the Ashe Zyra. Now, Zyra is also known to be more of a jungler right now in the game. But with that Gwen being taken and Kid Buu being a notorious Gwen player, I would almost think that the Zyra is most assuredly support and Kid Buu is just going to be sitting on that Gwen and they're still holding the top and mid lane picks for Captain Morgan's Lads. We'll have to see if Tomahawk Mishaps thinks that. From the bans, it looks like they kind of do have that read with the Shen ban taking away a top laner.
Yeah, just took a quick peek at the support players op.gg. He does seem to play a little bit of the Zyra, so likely going into his hands. Tomahawk Mishaps, I mean, a lot of wave clear, a lot of just straightforward team fight here so far, but Captain Morgan's Lads opted to draft more for the bot prio. But I mean, Sivir pushes pretty well herself, so maybe we can pick a support to pair with her to match the push that the Ashe Zyra brings to the table.
Yeah, honestly, I'd like to see that. I'd also just like to maybe see just an engaged support because you can have the push with the Sivir regardless. She can play relatively safe while your support kind of roams. Because trying to interact in a 2v2 with the Ashe Zyra is probably not going to work out too well, regardless of what champion they pick. So maybe we see a little more of a roam option. That could be a Maokai top lane support or jungle, and Zach can also kind of flex. So I like the flexibility on the side of Tomahawk. We'll have to see what Captain Morgan's lads answer with. And yeah, I do think that is going to be that Zyra support, like we were mentioning. I think that one's pretty clear by now. And I like that as an answer into the dive that Tomahawk Mishaps seems to kind of want to have. But if they don't pick, okay, the Aatrox is interesting.
Ooh. It's a real lack of a front line coming in from Captain Morgan's lads with top and jungle
Yeah,
and support already showing needing a mid champion here. It looks like
could
there's
be the Galio option, maybe just a Scion mid, but I don't think they're going to pick a tanky boy in the mid lane. Maybe they're just going for just straight damage.
yeah, it's also hard because I'm trying to remember who's on all the teams.
Yeah, it's hard when their names aren't like on the screen.
Oh,
But we'll
and we're
see him in
going
game at
double
least.
80 carry, zero front line for the Captain Morgan's lads comp.
I mean,
You
I
know,
respect it. If you're going to be against the tanky team, the best way to deal with that is with 280 carries. The Zyra plant shredding him as well. Gwen with the shred. That's a lot of damage. It's a really scary late game, but uh, yeah, it's definitely harder to execute.
yeah, they're really lacking in any way to start the fight. They have the Ash arrow, but if Maokai
I would
Zera
hate to
makes
play
his
Garen in
ult
this game.
and just prevent that engage from happening.
Yeah, yeah, the Zyra and can also kind of do the same thing on the other side though. Like the Zac and Maokai try to jump in, especially the Garen. Like, how does Garen ever get on top of Ashe or Tristana? Please tell me. I would love to know how this Garen, aside from a flank, I guess, but like you get kited perma by the Ashe, knocked back by the Tristana, and then the Zyra is just like laughing while doing like Harry Potter like herbology horticulture class like right in front of you. Like uh it's just it's tough, but I mean, maybe just going for the lane prio wants to have someone that can fight that Gwen early, doesn't want to, or the Aatrox early rather, doesn't want to let him snowball up there in that top lane as Garen's early laning phase is pretty strong. So
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with top lane matchups, but I can't imagine that specific matchup would be very fun for the Garen. You press Q and walk at the Aatrox. Aatrox just Qs you in return and walks away while you're knocked up, and I don't see Garen really gonna be able to pull off anything this game. But maybe I'm not a knower.
it's gonna have to be some bush gaming, some hide on bush technology for the Garen. Gonna have to pop out with the Q, get that spin to win combo down. Let them know. But yeah, overall, if you were playing on one of these sides, which would you feel more comfortable on as far as the draft tier goes?
I'd have to say Tomahawk Mishaps. Both teams are pretty scaling. Aside from the Gwen Aatrox kind of mid game skirmishing. Both teams kind of want to scale. Captain Morgan Lads has the double 80 carry. Tomahawk Mishaps has the Sivir Victor endless wave clear, but the Mishaps also have a big front line in front of their carries with a lot more CC than Captain Morgan's Lads.
Yeah, that is true. So, I mean, I tend to agree. I just the Garen pick really throws me off. Like I
Right.
feel like in the first four picks, I love those picks that I'm like, ooh, the Garen kind of gives a window for Captain Morgan lads to maybe exploit this game a little bit, have that Aatrox get overwhelmingly ahead on the side lane because we know what Aatrox does to tanks, and it's not pretty. He can absolutely shred tanks and be a tank himself as a drain tank with all the healing he can get on one of these melee champions that are going to be bunched up trying to team fight against him. So uh, definitely going to be looking at that Aatrox to make a big impact on the side of Captain Morgan lads, and then on the side of Tomahawk Mishaps, going to be really looking at that Victor. Because if Victor can get strong in this game, it just seems like he's going to be pretty much untouched.
Yeah. The Victor Tristana matchup is gonna be favored towards the Tristana early. She can just jump on him and, burst him out. He does have the gravity field, but usually she's able to get the W reset before she's stunned, so she could just follow him up again. So he'll have to play it a little safer early, but definitely later he can't just blow her up if she tries to jump on his face.
Yeah, honestly jealous, but it is what it is. Simmer here gonna be pretty dangerous as well. Um, like you said earlier, just the front line and the straight up front to back capacity of the Tomahawk mishaps is really looking like a Timberland classic. That's really what that man enjoys doing in these amateur leagues. He always talks about it. You have to have tanks, at least two tanks, preferably three tanks if you're Timmy. But Garen's kind of more of a fighter, so there might get a stern talking to for the top laner from Tomahawk Mishaps after this game for not picking that third tank. But maybe there's an argument that Garen is a tank. We'll have to see in that conversation how that unfolds after the game. But as for now, with these two teams matching off against each other, I do agree that I would prefer the Tomahawk comp as well. Uh, I mentioned earlier that I like that double 80 carry into tanky teams, and I think the Ash Zyra, like you were mentioning earlier in the draft, is actually incredibly strong as a 2v2 lane. So, you know, we're going to be looking to Nithros on that team. The best player in the server, probably the best player out of the 10 in this game here, going to be the super carry that his team is going to rely on to carry this game. Ash is a champion that you don't really think of when you think of those kind of games and those kind of moments, but I think it can be done, and we'll have to see how he does it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see how much value Captain Morgan's lads can get out of this strong 2v2 to try to deny Nithros as much gold and scaling as possible. And another thing about their comp on Captain Morgan's lads that they do have going for them is they do have a wide damage spread. So while Tomahawk Mishaps does have three beefy boys, Captain Morgan's lads does have a lot of AP as well as AD. So maybe they don't really care too much about that.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be curious to see if the Zach and or the Maokai go for the Heartsteel. I personally like that's something I've been teching out on the Maokai jungle. Um, but I think that's actually Maokai support. Even more so, like on the Maokai in general, is the Heartsteel pick, but might be a little harder to go on the support, but you do go Heartsteel on Tom Kench support. So maybe it's the melee support technology, but I think not having those resistances early for the Maokai would kind of feel pretty bad in that bot lane. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
see what
not
he does.
sure
Zach
what
for sure.
supports really build, but I'm sure Locket against like a Zyra combo is probably infinitely more useful than the
Oh,
Heartsteel and the
yeah,
support.
it absolutely is more useful. But do you get the satisfying bonk when you auto attack them, Kazuto? I don't think so. So we have to
Yeah,
weigh
that's
that in
true.
as well.
Maybe you can take grasp to
Yeah,
kind of
to
hold you over
mimic
on your
that.
addiction. Not a full hit, but a little bit of a
Oh, it's just
frosting
not
on
enough. It's not enough.
them.
Y'all got any more of them bonks? But yeah, I fully expect this to be a banger. I think that like since the draft on the Tomahawk side is so much more easy to execute, but we're expecting the kind of more higher ceiling play moments from Captain Morgan's lads. I think that we're going to see some flashy plays and some pretty tense team fights where we get kind of the outplay potential of these champions on the side of the lads versus the just stalwart front to back on the side of Tomahawk. I'm excited to see how these kind of fire and water contacts here, um, and how the clash goes off. I think it's going to be really exciting. And
Yeah,
sadly, it's not fearless. So maybe we get
true.
that integrated sometime because that would make it even more interesting if we have to see a whole new 10 champs the next game.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I think all the all the agency, at least early, is in Captain Morgan Lad's hands. Like they have the harder to execute comp, but they should have the pushing lane and like all three lanes early. So it's really up to them how they're going to play it. See if they can generate a large enough gold lead and stack the objectives to see if the scaling on Tomahawk mishaps doesn't matter.
It just sucks because it's like, how can gank? Like, you're a Gwen jungle and you're trying to gank a Tristana lane. Like, sure, you do a lot of damage, but Victor could just walk the fuck away. You can't really gank the Garen that easily. He also just runs away. Sivir and Maokai spell shield your abilities, and then Maokai can just like Gwen doesn't offer, and there's not a lot of CC offered on the side of the lads. So I'm looking for Kid Buu to actually just try to maybe play a 3-quadrant game, and take over and invade one of these jungle camps from the red side early on, and try to get a farm lead and kind of play the game and be powerful that way. Because if you're taking Gwen and you have this ghost, you want to just be power farming. You know that Zach is going to be weaker in the early game and just in general. Especially if you find him in his jungle, you just shit on him. So I'm going to be looking at him to invade early and try to create some power for himself and get some prio for his laners by just constantly finding Zach in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and that's the advantage that he's granted in the draft with having the pushing lanes on his side.
Oh,
Is he's
Nightthirst is
free
on
to
the Sivir.
power farm.
I totally switched that up.
Oh
That
yeah,
he was. I thought he on the Ash. Well, Tortuga is still a pretty strong AD carry player, so same thing goes for him. Got to be looking to him for this team, but yeah, Nightthirst and the Sivir, man, they have a lot of protection for Nightthirst, and he is quite scary on these AD carry champs. So that will be fun.
Yeah, we'll see if the Zabel sickness has infected Nitros. We'll see if we
the
see
invade
the NA
have the invade
5v5 level 1
the
here.
invade pin's gone down. I mean, the last game was a banner. Both teams 5v5 straight up to the top lane like real men. Looks like we're not getting that this game. Bunch of pansies out there, honestly. But no, playing it safe. It's what you should do most of the time. But sometimes you got to get that invade in. You got to just you gotta test the waters, as they say. As they look to just kind of fan out. Not really much interesting going on here as of yet.
Pretty standard runes, standard starting
Oh,
points
the
here.
angry bee emote, Tortuga, throwing that one out, sending a message, and we have to actually see how the Tomahawk mishaps will respond to that. They'll allow that to stand.
I think they will. It was out of vision.
Oh no. Well, hopefully they can come back from that. It's like when an enemy blows a flash out of vision. They didn't see it, so they actually don't know that the emote was sent. So maybe they're safe.
See a couple different or differing starts from the junglers. Zach starting top side with Gwen starting bot. So, Zach might be looking to path bot and play around his super carry Nitros, while Gwen probably just going for the most efficient farming start.
Yeah, we'll see if we get any cheese here. Oftentimes, it's pretty int nowadays to gank after 3 camp in the jungle. You really want to just get that 6 camp and then look for a gank or a reset. But we'll have to see. I think Gwen will probably just take the farm angle as we see Tristana getting some good trades on the mid lane there, hitting that level 2 and jumping straight onto Redacted. Like you said, Tristana going to be winning this laning phase pretty early, pretty hard. As yeah,
Opting to walk up and take a trade after Tristana had already hit level 2. So a little bit of a questionable trade decision. Maybe he thought he was safe close to his tower, but ends up losing a large portion of his HP. And Tristana's definitely gonna, like I said before, just enjoy the early parts of this matchup.
yeah, still has the 2 potions for himself there, thankfully. So not going to be feeling too bad about that. As he will hit one of those lasers. He's going to have to pop one of these potions soon. Has that bone plating, so it's going to prevent a good amount of that damage. But, still has those 2 potions. Actually, now, as AWAM's looking for the invade, ships in the night, we'll see if they actually get the smite down. We actually don't see who got that with the smite. I think it was the Zach. As he now
he
gets
has 4
bombed
camps.
by
That
the
was his 4th
Tristana.
camp.
Yeah. Yeah, he got that smite onto the Gromp. So honestly, not super worth, because you don't really waste that much of the Gwen's time. You get one camp on the Zac, but now your camp cycling is really behind. You're just getting to your blue side now. It's Gwen can take the Scuttle Crab and then just take her blue and recall. And she really doesn't feel that bad about it. But, sometimes the jungle isn't about the most efficient thing, it's about the mental warfare. And when you can get the smite down on an enemy camp or buff, you start winning that mental warfare. As I think this is how we're going to see this top lane matchup go for this Garen, is good amount of damage and does proc the Conqueror, but it was looking a little spooky there for a second, as now it's nonstop action. Fell going straight into one without pride, who will get chunked down. His ignited and burning down as well. Pops the heal, but it's only half effective just because of the ignite. Last Q from Maokai going to go down, but he is and Nithers cannot follow up, but that is so much damage down onto the Zyra, who still has that flash available. Nithers playing super aggro now because he knows he can. And in the top side, Genos having to flash away, and the bot, we're still brawling. These Zyra plants are just so annoying for Nithers to deal with, and has to flash away as well. The Ashe Zyra showing why it was and still is a phenomenal combo there in the bot lane. So frustrating to play against.
Yeah, and Captain Morgan's Lads is just coming out ahead across the map early, not getting any kills, but they are getting all of Tomahawk Mishap's flashes and just getting the small advantages already.
Yeah, it's 4 flashes down. We'll have to see how Gwen can punish this if Kid Buu wants to look anywhere, as we see Zac on the bot side, and now B-Sin just jumping on the head of... Oh, doesn't get that last auto, sadly. But, it doesn't matter. Just such a good trade from the Tristana. Really love to see the way he's playing this.
Yeah, Victor is, keeping it close in CS, though, so he is trading his HP and staying even, so it's not the worst thing for Redacted so far. He can get his back in TP here. Is curious that he decided to never use his 2 potions, though. That's like, I guess, just save the 100 gold if you're just gonna sit at 0 HP with your potions up, I guess.
Well, he's baiting him because he wants him to come back in and trade. Is Garen actually just getting the better of the Aatrox here in these early trades, but it's going to take a tower shot as well. And that Mutilator passive auto from Aatrox is doing so much work. But yeah, I mean, these Garen trades looking pretty good.
Kill.
Okay. I don't think this is a fight you really want, AWEMs. On the Zac, burn the jump as well, and has no flash. Gwen can just kind of run him down, but can't run too far, because to see the Victor teleporting back there to that mid lane is Aatrox, yeah, just in the top lane here, getting chunked out by the Garen, but pops that World Ender, and that will send Genos off the trade. He's still not 6 himself, but as soon as that Garen hits level 6, you have to be feeling pretty unsafe as Fluffy, but not when your jungler is right there with you, hits the W straight onto Garen, and that's first blood for that Gwen jungle. It's exactly where you're going to want that kill, on your carry jungler on Kid Buu. And Garen feeling so bad about that one for Genos. Still wasn't level 6, hadn't ticked over yet. And Fluffy was so low, such a juicy target, but just couldn't quite get the XP, as now B-Sin jumping to that mid lane, getting a good trade-off, but caught in that Chaos Storm inside of the Gravity Well, and going to take so much damage. The flash is up for Redacted. Will he flash? Ends up not wanting to pop it. Is satisfied with the trade. Maybe he figured Tristana would flash away and it wouldn't be worth his flash as well, but Victor already did such a good trade back. But honestly, I feel like that's more of just like disrespect of the Gravity Well and alt combo from Victor.
Yeah, and I mean, top lane, we saw the advantages that they got early already paying off, where, Genos was forced back early and was down in XP. He was winning the level 5 1v1, but Fluffy popped, level 6 and just turned it around, and Kid Buu showed up, and Genos is down so much CS right now.
Yeah. He is down quite a bit.
Tomahawk Mishaps going for the cross map trade here, with Gwen just taking all of Zac's camps, but this is what we thought was going to happen. Captain Morgan's Lads has all the power early game. They're making plays. They're trying to get as much gold as they can.
Yeah, they are making plays.
The grubs as well.
Yeah, going straight to the grubs. And, as you said, in the draft combo, like, we expected these guys to have prio here. We expected them to have these lanes pushing. especially the bot lane and the mid lane. And honestly, now the top lane just kind of looks pretty unplayable for Garen. You know, he has those 2 lawn swords, but you look at Aatrox, oh, he has 2 lawn swords. And what's that other item he has on the right there? Oh, that's a pickaxe. Going to be pretty hard to play the game against that pickaxe diff. You know, that Doran shield, you know, you can't block an axe with a Doran shield. As Maokai goes back in, you can't block the Twisted Advance, especially on Without Pride, has to burn that flash as well. But Zac flashes in with the ultimate right on the back end, but there's just not enough damage onto Without Pride. The Zyra not taken down, flashes away and pops the heal and will end up living, but that's also the Ashe flash. Crucially, the Ashe ult and barrier are still available, but Maokai still doesn't have that 6. I expect when we see Fel with that 6, you just cast that on the bot lane and get another engage going.
Damn, Zac could have finished off the Zyra there. He popped the ulti and hit her with the first proc, but then he walked away instead of bouncing on her a couple more times to finish it off.
Well, he bounced away.
Right.
just a small clarification there, but yes, you're absolutely right. He definitely could have finished her off.
I mean, it's only a 1,000 gold deficit so far, but already some desperate looking ganks coming through from the side of Tomahawk Mishaps, trying to make something work.
Yeah, you have to start, like, sometimes you just hit tab, you see jungle CS and top CS, and you're like, oh my god, we have to gank. And it's like, yes, you can get some ganks off, but you also have pretty strong scaling on your side with a front to back. So it's not super stress mode yet to where you have to be forcing like that. I'd like to see them just kind of focus on around these objective fights, which they already have the one dragon. And I believe they got grubs now.
No, looks like Captain Morgan's lad's got all 3 of them.
Okay. I'm used to seeing, I'm like, where are the okay, there's the grub indicator. Nice. They actually added that to the spectator client. That's good. But yeah, I mean, this Gwen already running away with the CS.
Yeah, but the good thing for we got a fight here.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Well, the good thing about the golds for Tomahawk Mishaps is right there, Redacted picks up a kill, is their gold is on their carries. So while their top and jungle are kind of getting destroyed right now early, you know, the ones that they need to have the gold and the damage are keep it even, and then in Redacted's case, actually getting a little lead on BSIN.
Yeah, and now has those double buffs and is like feeling so much more confident to step up in these trades now. Crucially, still has that 1 potion available and just pops it now. So he was saving him for later. As now Fluffy going in the top side, procs that Conqueror, and Gino's going to have to flash, but gets flashed after with the World Ender, and his world might be ended here soon. 1 more Q, Sweet Spot will do it, but no, Kid Boo says, that is my kill. Thank you very much, Mr. Aatrox. 2 kills now. On to the Gwen, sitting at 2-1, and already has the Nashor's Tooth completed. This Gwen is going to be terrifying, as we have Zac rushing the Spirit Visage against a double 80 carry comp with an Aatrox top lane because he is that scared of the Gwen, I guess. Questionable decision on that one. I personally think the Heartsteel Rush is just too good on Zac, but, you know, sometimes you want that extra healing, I guess.
He's been invaded 15. 1 too many times this game. He says, you're not going to hurt me anymore.
Yeah. Enough is enough.
In 25 seconds. We'll see. You know, bot, a little bit of a late reset for Tortuga if they're looking to fight this dragon on spawn. But I'm sure Gwen is strong enough to prevent them from taking it right away.
Well, appropriate that the Tortuga would have a slow reset. He's just trying to kind of stay true to character here. Tortuga is turtle in Spanish for the non-knowers.
Crucial first items finished on jungle, mid, and bot for this dragon fight. So, you know, it's going to be pretty even. We'll see if Gwen can get on top of the back line. Trying to look for a flank angle right now.
Yeah, looking for the flank angle. BSIN spotted. Gwen just kind of hanging around behind the pit, and you know, just having the two Bash brothers of Fell and AWAMs just kind of chilling on the dragon trying to take it. But now Kid Boo's in the pit. It's already popped. Ash Arrow going to just go straight through the uprights. Zyra Plant's going to go down, and the smite came early from Kid Boo. And AWAM's actually able to take that one and smite it away, as now Tortuga going to have to walk this one out, but he did not quite have that flash available yet, so gets taken out himself. And now Nitros just free firing, also just taking out Without Pride, who I think their flashes just came back up. So now Genos in the top lane going to try to trade something back, but the Aatrox is just too fed at this point. He's just doing so much damage and healing at the same time. It just doesn't look playable for this Garen in the top lane anymore. And with the way that fight went, for the side of Tomahawk Mishaps, was pretty good for them on the bot side, but Kid Buu getting that not getting that dragon is just... It's again, we're fighting just perma. The Needlework going to go wide for the Gwen, but Zac ultimate going to be popped, and I think he does have that passive available, so shouldn't be too worried about it. And Fel going to take that kill. Now B-Sin has to run for the hills. With this Tristana not having much HP, is going to have to seed this mid lane. Maybe they can get some damage onto this tower then.
I mean, great stuff coming from Tomahawk Mishaps. They're winning these skirmishes that don't have the Aatrox. You know, the Aatrox is probably where most of Captain Morgan's lads' lead was, and they're just fighting on the other side of the map where he can't join. And, you know, they're coming out ahead, and their two carries now probably have a pretty sizable lead across their
Hey, my goat, hitting the X button for that gold.
Yeah, I mean, you could see like 900 gold mid. What is that, 1200 bot? So, yeah, I mean, they're not too worried that Genos can't really match this Aatrox.
Yeah. Yeah, not worried at all. And, you know, with the Zac continuing to itemize and get tankier and tankier, you know, hopefully some armor coming in here soon. The Garen going the more bruisery build, not going tank himself, so we'll have that talking to from Timberland after the game. Is the great engage from the Zac, pulling a Without Pride and the Ashe together as the Maokai ultimate coming across the back end and getting a 3-man route into the 3-man queue. But Redacted getting burned down on the back end by B-Sin, the Tristana, and as soon as the Aatrox joins that fight, it just looks so different.
Just as I praised them for playing away from the Aatrox, they decide to opt into a 4v5 with their biggest carry, split pushing in the bot lane, and the Aatrox just slams them down. Yeah, it's very back and forth. Both teams taking turns fighting pretty bad fights, saying, "Hey, hold my beer."
Timberland will be taking out his patented Domino's belt after this game and dishing out some pepperoni slappings, which is a sentence I never thought I'd have to say, but these are trying times. As Fluffy gonna back off that tower. They do have the 3 grubs on the side of Captain Morgan's lads, so, you know, crucially, the Tristana and the Aatrox will have stronger side lanes in this game, so I'd like to see them transition to kind of a 1-3-1 setup. Use the Tristana for the turret pushing power. It looks like she will be heading to that bot lane now.
Yeah, big overstep from Kid Buu. You know, he was feeling himself too much in the 1v1. Wasn't expecting Genos coming back to lane.
Yeah, it does have those 2 items now. Sitting on a good CS numbers, but, you know, can't quite 1v2 on the Gwen jungle yet.
This Sivir bot is stronger than the mid lane AD carry that's supposed to be, you know, more accelerated than one that's in the bot lane. Nitros just getting so much farm, almost on 2 items already.
Yeah, more kills, more CS. Is down in XP, but, you know, you'd expect that. Now he's only 1 level down now, ticking over to 11. But yeah, and crucially also took that Ghost. You know, often you see AD carries take cleanse nowadays. Ghost, I think, is the more rare choice, with barrier, cleanse, and heal all probably, I think, being taken more frequently than the Ghost. But I like the Ghost as an option into a team like on the side of Captain Morgan's lads, because you don't have a lot of CC that should be directly hitting the Sivir. You just have to kind of get away from the Aatrox and the Gwen, who don't really have CC that you can cleanse away yourself, that you're going to want to really cleanse anyway. So I like that choice from Nitros there, as we see another fight. In the top lane, the World Ender popped again, and Genos will have to run for his life. He cannot fight this Aatrox, just the scariest member on the side of the lads, even though, and you know, you'd have to think how much more scary would this Aatrox be if he'd just gotten a couple of these kills that he had the Gwen rudely stole away from him. But you know, that's just one of those moments, you know. Sometimes you have to take the kills from your top laner. Shout out to Juba.
Yep, I believe Crockett would support taxing your players.
Yeah, he's a big tax enjoyer. Real taxes too. He loves paying his actual taxes as well. Weird guy. That's Dragon going to be started up here. Will be Soul Point if it is taken by the side of Tomahawk Mishaps. We'll see if they want to go for this one. They probably are prioritizing it, but crucially at the same time, will be being prioritized by the lads as well on the blue side, as they don't want to give that soul point away, and Gwen can just shred these dragons. So we'll have to see if they look for a fight here.
HP before this fight even starts. Both top laners have TP. We'll see if they want to join in as they're going in.
Yeah, Fel just going straight in, popping that ultimate, and they're just bursting the support. Zyra already dead, popped the R, but it didn't really gain much value. Dragon's still full HP, but now the TPs are coming in. Assault going to land straight onto the Sivir, wasn't able to spell shield that, and going to get jumped on by the Aatrox immediately, was not able to spell shield, and got jumped on by Fluffy on the Aatrox TP, perfectly coming in to take out that Fed 80 carry from the side of Tomahawk Mishaps, and now the fight is just looking like a rout on the other side. As we expected, Nithros and the Victor to be so strong here, but they just get turned on their head.
Yeah, super late TP coming out of Genos. It seems he couldn't make up his mind whether he was gonna TP himself or play to stop the Aatrox. Yeah, he let the Aatrox get far enough away.
Oh, not a smite steal. Now it's a donation of another kill over to the side of Captain Morgan's lads. They are drinking good tonight as Fluffy now on the bot lane with those grubs, going to be whacking away at this tower.
Redacted's in trouble.
Oh, they're just unrelenting. Yeah, Redacted, no flash. Just going to end up falling here. Maybe trades one back. Not quite able to get the Gwen. And yeah, it's pretty much collapsing, it seems like now, for the side of Tomahawk. Like, their desperation was showing earlier, and now it really should be in full swing as they're down. What is that, 4K, almost 5K?
Yeah.
Couple kills. They get outscaled in the damage department, I would say. I mean, Sivir on maybe 3-4 items can have something to say about that, but
Sivir can still be stronger than the Tristan Ashe. He just, you know, they got pincered, but their Tomahawk Mishaps tanks kind of left her trying to super force onto Captain Morgan's lads, and she was just left by herself and got pincered by the Ashe arrow and the Aatrox TP.
That's true. Fel did go pretty deep on the Maokai there. You know, it looked good for a second, but then you look on the other end of the fight and it's the Sivir just getting CC'd and killed by the Aatrox. So have to see if they end up peeling a little bit more in the next time they have an exchange here. Want to see Nithros getting maximum value out of those boomerang blades, as maybe going to be a little bit of a lull state here as the teams just kind of jockey around, farm up for the next objective.
Yeah, pings were coming down onto the Atacon, so we'll see. Captain Morgan's lads might be looking to
that auto attack
to press their advantage here and start this up. They certainly have the prio for it right now. But Fluffy doesn't have TP, he wouldn't be able to join, whereas Redacted could. But then they'll be giving up bottom tier 2 to the Aatrox.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly how Captain Morgan's lads want to play this. They have the 3 grubs, they have the stronger side laners. Let the Aatrox just dominate in this side lane, but they're also going to start the Otacon themselves. They burst it so far with the Gwen, but maybe just a step too far. The Maokai ultimate comes through, and it's looking like a bit of a leash angle here. Ashe ultimate going to fly through, and maybe they let this one reset, but the Zyra plant's not letting it happen. It should reset here soon. And yeah, an ambitious start there, but did get a lot of damage, turned back around onto at least the support. And Gino's going to find the Tristana in the bush, but he just gets knocked away. And I don't think he's actually long for this world now. Just gets turned on and just slain straight up. And that should just be the Otacon for Captain Morgan's lads. The top laner's dead and the support has no HP to speak of. Jungle is showing on the mid side. They do this so fast.
Yeah, the Gwen does so much damage to this. She's almost at her death cap too. We'll see if Zach can get in for a steal.
Fel will just die. Oh, he actually just is walking in. He just walked straight in, but Kid Buu maybe gonna fall here with the Otacon. He will get shut down by the Otacon. Zach dies, and this should be a kill, but maybe Fel can steal. He has the Q available. No, not quite. And they should have the damager to finish it, but my lord, that was a stressful finish to that Otacon. Both junglers end up actually falling, and the teammates have to clean it up.
Yeah, if Nitros rotated there, it could have been a different story. Maybe he wasn't expecting the Otacon to do so much damage to Captain Morgan's lads, but he decides to
one boomerang.
stay mid, but you know, Aatrox comes and prevents him from taking that tier 2. So, you know, W kind of for Captain Morgan's lads. It looked very sloppy, but they did end up getting the Otacon.
We take
got a couple
those
kills, and we'll see them, you know, set up for this dragon here.
Yeah, Dragon will be coming up in about 40 seconds here. We should see another Clash of the Titans on this one. We will have all teleports available. Tristana's just ticking over to be off cooldown, as we'll see who ends up getting control of this river and dragon pit first. We see
Oh, I think Buu has
Without
his,
Pride.
death cap. He went and cleared
Buu.
a couple caps top, and he's resetting. He might have it in base. He does.
Oh, it looks like he did finish that death cap. 3 items now in this Gwen, as you point out, Kazuto. Good catch. He will be looking after this Gwen to see how much damage he can do, or if they can end up avoiding that damage and actually kite him out and kill him before he's able to actually make use of it. But yeah, looking scary. The carries on the side of the lads looking pretty beefy right now. Sivir waiting on that 3rd item still.
Frontline needs to kind of switch to trying to peel for the Sivir and Victor. They are right now.
Oh, there's pains coming down everywhere. Fel flashing away and popping the R, but he's only flashing to his doom, as he will end up falling. Aatrox taking him out, and now eyes turn to the Drake. This will be their 2nd Drake. They're just completely giving this are the Tomahawk mishaps. There's no way they can contest that after their support falls, and getting caught there just an inopportune moment is maybe nothing else gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing for Tomahawk mishaps is they were able to grab 2 early Drakes, so it gives them a lot of time to try to turtle and, you know, get their hyper carries to like 3-4 items.
Oh no, that Zach flashed into the root.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's the worst feeling ever when you flash in and you're
Definitely.
rooted. So it feels bad, man.
This Aatrox is 2 levels above everybody on the side of Tomahawk mishaps. They don't have an answer for him. They tried the Victor, they tried the Garen, but Aatrox is just a menace right now.
Yeah, it's going to take maybe a 4-item Sivir to deal with this Aatrox, but even then, the anti-heal's just on the Garen. So, well, I guess technically on the Zac, if Aatrox hits Zac, but gonna have to be getting that anti-heal down, maybe the Ignite, try to deal with him, but, you know, you also have the Gwen healing, and then you just have the 280 carries as well with the Aatrox just perma whacking away. So it's, you know, we called out the lack of a front line from Captain Morgan's lads, but we also did call out the fact that they just have so much damage on this team comp, and it's really showing in these exchanges.
Right, with the lead they have, they can really just run at them, and there's nothing Tomahawk mishaps can do.
Yes, Bentage, this is the first game in this series.
Yep.
Between these absolute legends of the scene.
And for Captain Morgan's lads, I'd like to see, you know, Aatrox just continue to pressure bot lane where he's, you know, no one can match him, and start up this Baron, because, you know, the more time they give over to Tomahawk mishaps, the better it is for them. So they kind of want to just, you know, keep going, keep their foot on the gas, because, I mean, right now they can't match them.
Yeah, they can't. And, you know, Bentage in the chat, there was no other matchup, so you didn't miss anything. This is the first series of the night, so no worries. Nothing else happened. As they start the Baron here, going so fast with this Gwen and double 80 carry. It's just unbelievable how fast they take that, and it will just go down. Kid Buu hopping over the wall, feeling himself, looking for more as AWAMS has to jump away. And I think we're going to see a lot of that jumping away happening in this game, Kazuto. It's looking pretty dire for the side of Captain, or the side of Tomahawk Mishaps.
Yeah, we saw them opt to just have Fluffy there just to be safe, have more damage on the Baron. They do lose the bot tier 2 in response to it, but they're still in a really good spot to just run over this game and Tomahawk Mishaps in their base.
Oh, the slow just coming straight through. Zach jumping in, but it's just not going to be enough. The Gwen damage is just absolutely out of this world. Backed up by Ashe, just slowing them down as well with the Zyra. It's just so hard to get away from this team, and now doubling the kill score. Almost a 10k gold lead, 10 kill lead for the side of the lads. And they are going to push this one down, and they should be able to end the game here.
Yeah, there's not much the Sivir can do. Like, sure, she has a lot of wave clear, but, you know, it is greatly reduced against the Baron wave, and with 4 people in her face, you know, she's not really going to be able to stop this. But Captain Morgan's lads wanting to play it safe, going for 2 inhibs.
Yeah, gonna play it by the book League of Legends here. Gonna take the inhibs, maybe push this wave in because they had a bigger wave. As the Ashe are gonna come through. Gonna get spell shielded by Nightthirst, but immediately gonna have to flash away as just getting immediately jumped on is Fel, who will die. Same with AWAMS. That tank line just getting shredded. Garen trying to go in for some action on the backside, but gets killed. And that Aatrox with the triple kill at the end of the game, just absolutely popping off. And we see Victor leaving the game at the very end. You know, it does get you out faster, but it's always funny to see as Captain Morgan's lads taking the series 1-0 so far, with potentially 2 more games to go.
Yeah, no, it was
I
close
love that
for.
you have the picture. Your picture is just the headless boy logo, and mine's just a face.
Yeah, I mean, it was close for a little bit, you know. Tomahawk Mishaps had their opportunity to fight back, but I think it just goes back to that Rift Herald fight where they opted into the 5v4 with Nitros farming bottom. From there, they just couldn't recover the gold lead and were just getting ran down at that point.
Yeah, it looked very hard to play that game with the top lead that ended up being created there. And, you know, honestly, the jungle lead as well, just the top side of the map doing a great job in that game for the lads, Captain Morgan's lads. And yeah, just the composition dealing so much damage. It just looked like, you know, we thought maybe the Tomahawk Mishaps would be tanky and maybe too tanky. Too tanky, man, for the side of the lads to deal with. But, you know, it just wasn't the case. And they kind of ended up getting run over there by the end. But, you know, the early game looked pretty promising for Tomahawk. So if they can make some draft adjustments, you know, maybe ban that Gwen, maybe adjust some bans in some other places, I think we could see a competitive game 2 come out from them.
Yeah, might like to see Nitros on a champ where he has a little bit more agency. Kind of all we saw this game was he's just forced to farm while his team fights and kind of just loses around the map. So maybe something like his Twitch where he can roam around, or maybe something where he can really smash the lane like Samira and get a huge lead might be better. But you know, we don't know what they're gonna want to decide to do. Maybe they didn't think that was a problem.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Twitch myself. I think that would be sick.
We could probably throw it to a break, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I will assume that we are going to take a short break now and then be back with the draft and game 2.
Yep.
Mhm. All right. And we are back here in match 2, game 2, Captain Morgan's Lads versus the Tomahawk Mishaps. Just saw a few mishaps from the Tomahawk side there in that last game there, Kazuto, but Captain Morgan's Lads gonna have to make some draft adjustments here because I'm assuming we'll see some adjustments from the Tomahawk boys. If they put any new bands through, I think we'll see that Gwen probably go by the wayside. And
They're on the same sides as well, so
yeah, they opted for
fine.
the same sides.
Didn't think red side was a problem. They want to keep that. Hopefully the counter pick that they pick on R5 is actually a good matchup this time.
Yeah, we'll see if they utilize that counter. Notoriously difficult to utilize the counter pick in League of Legends, I will say. A lot of
Yeah,
R5
R5
Malphites
Malphite.
I've seen
Yep.
in my day. Whereas, LS, aka losing solo queue, R5 Renekton, not going to be one you're going to want to see. But the Smolder Senate bands here from the side of Tomahawk, not wanting to see those champions at all.
I don't actually remember what they banned game 1, so I wouldn't
I believe
be
those
able
were
to
the two
tell.
champs
Okay.
for Tomahawk. They banned both of those. We'll see if they adjust for the third ban. And I believe the side for Captain Morgan's is the same.
Okay, there you go. Ramen Jinx. Oh, as Captain Morgan Lad just randomly dropped the Jinx ban and Tomahawk dropping the Braum for an Aatrox. Let's see if they want to
Yeah.
first pick the Jinx then, if they're not going to ban it, or maybe, nope, there you go.
Yeah, they first picked the Jinx, so they just want to take that one away and end up banning the Caitlyn. They don't want to have any arcane rivalries coming through here. Crucially, several more arcane champions are still available, so we'll have to see if Tomahawk ends up going for the Piltover counter to the Zaun of Jinx, because that definitely is how that works inside of the League of Legends client.
Yep. Make it huge Ambessa Vi combo here. Really shut down the Arcane Jinx.
I mean, honestly, Specified does sound pretty good. To kill a Jinx, I feel like that it is quite a good combo, but gonna go with the Braum, really good at mitigating a lot of that Jinx's damage and uh pretty good into teams that tend to go heavy on the frontline side, but we didn't see a lot of that from Captain Morgan's Lad's last game. They had a pretty much a zero frontline comp with not a lot of champions that get hard punished by something like the Braum. So maybe Tomahawk looking to just take this for lane comfort, but there's a chance here for Captain Morgan's Lads to kind of pick some range and disengage to kind of play away from this Braum here.
Yeah, maybe they just prefer to have the shield to block some things and don't care too much about the applying the passive on multiple melee targets. But as we say that, Captain Morgan's lads are drafting a couple picks that
They
Braum will
said,
be able
did
to.
you say applying passives to melee targets?
Yeah.
It picks Sejuani and Irelia. Just the amazing combo there. With that melee champion in the top lane, with Sejuani, will proc that passive with her and can also follow up with her own stun. Crucially, this is Fluffy's main champion, so we're going to be really looking to that top laner for the side of Captain Morgan's Lads to be popping off in this Aurelia. It already popped off in the Aatrox last game. They banned that away. He's like, okay, well, I'll pick my main champ. Now he's on the Aurelia. A bit harder to execute than the Aatrox, as we see the Victor ban come through for Tomahawk, but pumped to see Fluffy Aurelia.
And Genos responding with the set. Maybe a Whippo fan busted out the wide Whippo set, but we'll see if he can do better in the top lane this game. I'm not really sure how that matchup goes.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's too bad for set early. Usually sets early trades are pretty good with your passive and then the amount of shielding and regen you get with that haymaker. Um, but I think most of the melee matchups that feel good for the Aurelia opponent in the early game start to feel pretty bad as you get towards that late mid and late game. As the Aurelia scales into the game, it gets stronger and stronger. It's doing true damage to you, dashing around of all your abilities, and going to be even more annoying with that Sejuani just buffing her up with the extra stun.
Yeah, especially with Irelia being full build on the Blade of the Ruin King purchase and set what in nothing but health stacking.
Yeah, it's crazy that the passive that she has, where once you build the one item, you actually are just full build in the game. Uh, always a bit frustrating when you have those champions that just have that bonus there. Is Zach going to be taken away? They don't want to see that one in the jungle again. And honestly, neither do I. Let me get some action in here with the junglers. I want to see something to contest the Sejuani. Trundle is still available, and that's a pretty good counter into Sejuani in the current meta, and would synergize pretty well with the Braum set. Just be the last minute lock in here. Gonna take the jungle R5. So a man after my own heart. Gonna go take that jungle pick for last. Honestly, just based.
It was
Nothing you
really
can
after
really
your
say
heart to
other than
be
based.
a set jungle.
That is true. You say flex pick and then you just take jungle R5 anyway. So that's what you got to do. As they take the Ari, which I do like the Ari pick here, but Captain Morgan's lads, with the best possible response to an Ari pick is you just play better Ari with Silas. You just take the ultimate, you have the extra dash even in the stun with your E, and then you can also just heal yourself with the Kingslayer on the W. So very common pick into the Ari matchup here for Silas. And how does this one usually go, Kazuto?
I mean, in my experience as a terrible melee champion into ranged matchup player, I just died a Ari on repeat.
That's
I
funny.
feel like it's really only a pro player counter pick. I think the matchup is incredibly hard for the Silas to play if you're not like insanely good at the game. Knowing exactly how much damage you can take to trade for CS, because if not, you're just gonna get completely bullied out of the lane by Ari.
Okay, hold on a second. So it is the set jungle. He's taking the
Wow.
set into the jungle. And they're putting Alawi, unless that's an Alawi jungle, which I heavily doubt. They're taking that Alawi into the top lane, which actually sounds pretty frustrating for Aurelia. I feel like Alawi is one of those champions that just kind of destroys melee matchups, but it's definitely going to be tough because you kind of want people to be locked down and sitting in place so your tentacles have time to slap them, but Aurelia has seen enough hentai to know where that's going, and it's going to be dashing out of those tentacles pretty much as fast as she can. But wow, the set jungle is an interesting pick there. I'm curious to see how that goes. As I think we're going to send it to a quick break before we get into the game here now that the draft's concluded. All right. And in exactly the right amount of time that it takes to go from spectator client into the game, we are here. Absolutely no delays detected. And the set jungle was predicted by Kazuto here. You know, the much lauded predictor of champion placements. That's what they call him. It's the exact nickname verbatim. But we see the invade, maybe, from the side of Tomahawk, looking for some cheeky level 1 action, but aren't going to actually end up walking in as that 5, as the 5 point. It looks like they're considering it, but the 5 point from the lads would spot them out, so.
Yeah, interesting that they're so scared of getting invaded here, where both teams just decided the 5 point last game.
Yeah, and they actually, the late invade they're going for. And shout out my boy Chris Solas in the chat. Absolute Giga Chad.
The ultimate Mothra fanboy.
Yeah.
And you know, that is a good adaptation coming from Tomahawk Mishaps this game, is they moved together to get some sort of vision in the enemy jungle. Last game, they had no idea where Boo was. As we saw when Zach went for the invade, he was just guessing, and he ended up running into the Gwen. But, you know, this time, they'll be able to see that he's not starting there. They have a little bit of information.
Yeah, and already Fluffy just kind of showing some of this dominance on the Aurelia, taking an amazing trade, but taking a good amount of damage back. Those caster minions do slap early on in the game if you're not popping into that bush to cancel those auto attacks, so takes about half of his health as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty scary for Genos in that top lane against this Aurelia. That is one of Fluffy's main champions, if not his main champion. And gonna have to see how the Alawi fares into that. It's an interesting tech choice here. And the set jungle, another interesting choice. Already falling behind in these camps, though. Just not as quick on the farm as the Sejuani. Taking kind of an interesting path here as well. Starting the blue and then just going straight to his red side. Oh, and gets smited away, actually, by the Sejuani. That feels so bad for the set. Flashes away, but gonna get flashed on. The auto attack passive procced. And Kid Buu, with the first blood on that Sejuani into the set, who was already behind a camp and now behind a death. Going to be walking back, but not going to be finding too much. Fluffy. And it might be another solo kill as well in the top lane. Fluffy just getting him low enough, and Genos just not quite respecting that damage. Doesn't even flash away. And that is just the worst possible start you could have for Tomahawk. Jungle and top lane combo we were expecting to see synergize, just get solo kills, and now we're going to be so scary in this top side.
Yeah, the two main characters from last game for Captain Morgan's lads, the top and jungle, are just showing up already. Not even 3 minutes into the game, they're already just asserting their dominance over Tomahawk Mishaps, and it's a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that slap down. I thought it might have been an Alawi tentacle, but it was actually just the cock of the side of the Captain Morgan's lads just right onto the table there. As now the invade here from AWAMS, but gonna just be taken low here and doesn't have that haymaker available, so should just be taken out. Gets a good stun off actually before he dies, but Beast ain't able to flash out on the Silas Fell. Flashing out as well and getting that jump down onto Redacted, but not enough distance, and Kid Buu collecting yet another kill on this Sejuani. If there's any champion that you don't want to be giving kills to early, it's this Sejuani, because you could just get that heart steal so early and just be such a massive problem in the game.
Yeah, it's a similar thing that was happening last game. Is Tomahawk Mishaps keeps going for these fights where it seems Nithros is not willing to rotate over and miss his farm, so they're always fighting with a disadvantage in numbers, and they're just losing across the map.
Yeah, just desperation here, Kazuto. As we saw in the last game, the desperation started to come out towards the mid game, but now in this early game where you have a comp for the side of Tomahawk that gets outscaled and you're already behind in this early game, the Jinx is going to be such a big issue in the late game for this team. But when you have the top side being fed already, it's just going to create so much space for the Jinx, as Genos having no space himself in the top lane to even play the game, already just chunked. getting ganked, has that flash available still, but that's going to feel so bad getting pushed out of lane here. Is going to opt to stay. We'll see if anything ends up happening there in the top lane. Is mid lane, you know, honestly, B-Sin pretty even in the CS department in this melee versus range matchup, so good for him. Oh, and that flash getting burned by Genos up there, and the chain gonna go wide. It might have been a kill, but a great charm from Redacted. Not gonna quite get B-Sin under that tower range. It was really close, and now Fell with a decent roam. But Redacted zoning off B-Sin. Silas not having quite enough health, but Fell actually just falling so low. B-Sin jumping in, the exhaust going down, but it's not enough to take the damage from the Kingslayer away. And he will get that kill, pop over to level 6, and now top lane again. Fluffy just going back in and almost killing Genos.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like
top laner.
They're on the same page. We saw them fighting that 2v2 with Set walking close by, but he just decided to walk right by it and say, screw you guys, I'm out of here. Like, he did not want to help at all.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where if your game is going this bad on the jungle, and that's a lot of damage coming out, but B-Sin crucially able to avoid it with the stolen Ahri ultimate dash and going to kill AWAMS on this set. That has to feel so bad for Set jungle. You're already on a pick that is such a fragile early game. You need to be able to get your camps in the early part of this game on Set. You need to be able to get a decent economy going for yourself to get to that level 6, to get to your impact point, and he's already died 3 times in 6 minutes.
That's so hard to say that the game is over this early, but really, what can Tomahawk Mishaps do if they just keep getting rolled? They have no response to everything that Captain Morgan's lads do. I don't see the angle for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for a bit of a play here on the bot side now. Get a stun down onto Without Pride, but he still has that flash and heal available. Nighthar's is trying his hardest to get something here for the team, but they just don't have enough damage. Has to jump back out. Fell, getting peppered down himself. And Without Pride and Tortuga, you know, you had to burn the flash and the cleanse on the Jinx, so maybe we can revisit that and try to get something on the Tristana to get something going for the side of Tomahawk, but it's looking so dire at this point.
Yeah, it's so hard because, you know, they have Set as their jungle champion. He can't really come down here and punish the flashless Jinx. What is he going to do? Just run at her and she throws the traps down and walks away to safety? It's really difficult for Tomahawk Mishaps.
Yeah, and speaking of difficult, Genos now no flash on the Alawi, and you know, this is kind of Alawi comfort zone. You want these kind of moments where you can get multiple champions inside of your ultimate, slap those tentacles down, and you see Fluffy's health bar just getting taken down so much there. You have to think if Alawi had a little more gold parity with this Aurelia, that would be maybe a kill almost even onto the Aurelia, but it has the ability to sustain it back up with that Vampiric Scepter, and Alawi just not scary enough at this point of the game, only on 30 CS. But able to ward off the gank at least.
Yeah, but with that ultimate down, we can see Kid Boo's just free to go over to these grubs. The Alawi's not going to pose any threat to him. He can just take these for free. Well, they're trading for Dragon on the bot side of the map, so, you know, good job from Tomahawk.
It'll be a cross-map trade.
Get something out of it at least.
Vintage, want to support y'all, but can't watch this blowout. 07.
Oh,
Oh
no! Jinx takes Dragon. It's a disaster for Tomahawk Mishaps.
Was it the Jinx ultimate? It must have been the Jinx ultimate. Ed ends up taking that. The classic Jinx ultimate steal. Absolutely tragic for the side of Tomahawk Mishaps. And, you know, the name just checking out here is the Mishaps are just left and right. As Fluffy maybe making a bit of a mishap himself, looking like he can't really fight into that Alawi there in the 1v1. You know, looking like there's a reason they picked that champ, but gonna have to take a lot more farming up and a lot more catching up for this Alawi to be relevant in the game. As B-Sin with a nice little trade there onto the Ahri, but we'll get some damage back, we'll Redacted. But at this point, the Silas feeling pretty good about this lane state, sitting on 2-0. Blasting Wand and double Ruby Crystal in the inventory, going for that Aroa build, it looks like.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we can't see why Genos opted for this Alawi into the Aurelia. It is starting to be able to fight back, but he is still down almost 50 CS. She has finished the Bork, so she might not care about the Alawi's tentacles anymore and just sustain through it.
Yeah, I'd really like to see Alawi pick up a Bramble Vest or something of the sort and maybe go for a little more of a tanky build this game and not as much of the damage items. We'll have to see if he ends up making that choice, but you know, maybe thinking they just need the damage from somewhere on this team comp with how behind they are, but I really would like to see just a little bit more tank stats out of that champion in the top lane. Though, to be fair, I have absolutely zero idea how that works. Maybe it's troll to go for those items, but as a tank stat enjoyer myself, I would stan it. As the bot lane just trying to trading back and forth. Kid Buu waiting in the wings on the Sejuani. Ultimate is available. We'll see if he ends up going in as we now pan to the top lane to see Fluffy take a tower shot and double tentacles, but Kid Buu ended up going in, popping that ultimate onto Fel, who does flash away. Jinx ultimate comes down, but it's not enough to secure the kill. As the Gromp trying to get involved in the fight, Zap just barely gonna miss and Fel, walking back under the tower, checking that E to jump straight back onto the Tristana. Nitro is still flash barrier available, and Braum still exhaust. We'll see if they go for the rest of the dive. Nitro is stepping up to try to just get the CS, to try to make something work in this bot lane for himself, getting a trade down here onto Jinx, but he's just getting so low, just getting out damaged by this Jinx right now, and Kid Buu full health. But they do have AWAMs here on the set to support. Does have that ultimate available, but doesn't quite cast it in time to get Kid Buu back onto his team, and Kid Buu gonna flash out on the Sejuani, will end up falling, but Ahri here now as well. B-Sin joining too with the Ahri ultimate, has to flash out, as Redacted still has another charge of that available, I believe. Gonna not opt to go for it as the health bars on the side of the lads just so extraordinarily low, but they're still alive. Genos in the top side fighting Fluffy, and it's actually looking pretty close, but he should fall here, but no! Turns it back around. The tentacle slaps were too much for Irelia. The flash was available to get out of that. He canceled an auto attack, exactly, Kazuto, and ends up losing the 1v1, up 50 CS and a kill, and an item. Loses the 1v1 to the Alawi. We can see why this man picked this. This is clearly such a good counter pick in this matchup.
You know, hope coming through for the side of Tomahawk Mishaps. Geno's finishing his item off of that, so not too far behind the Aurelia, and he already won the fight with how far down he was before, so maybe he can start snowballing this kill into some sort of advantage for the side of Tomahawk Mishaps. But we saw, like you said in that last fight, all the early gold going on to Sejuani. She was so tanky and took so long to kill, taking numerous tower shots, and still took them forever to bring her down.
Yeah, it was a bit to take him down, and now the CC chain gonna come through without pride, gonna pop that and run away. Pop the flash and heal, rather, and I think he actually makes it out there. As we now pan to the top side, Genos. Fluffy calling his jungler up there after that 1v1, did not want to have that stand, and Kid Buu shows up for his top laner. Gets a kill, but crucially the Sejuani taking all of these kills again, sitting on 4 kills, and the Aurelia only having the 1 that he earned himself. You know, Kid Buu making his top laners work for it, absolutely, as the bot side as well. Tortuga ends up falling, burning both summoners. And Nithor's not on the board yet. Has those 2 assists, but able to take out the bot laner, get a kill onto that Ahri. This bomb's actually just gonna, the bomb explodes and cancels his back. His AWAB's gonna get jumped on here by the Sylas and the Sejuani. A great combo to lock them down, and he's not really tanky enough to deal with this. Gonna end up falling, but the charm prevents B-Sin from actually using that Kingslayer to finish off AWAM, so gonna end up making it out there. Now it's a little risky. Nithros is here on the Tristana. They have the Braum passive down. There is no flash on the Kid Buu. He should just fall here, and Fel gets the kill. It's so unfortunate. You need these kills onto the RA and Tristana, but he ends up taking this one. But I mean, at this point, it's like, we killed the jungler, Dragon's up, it's worth, but I really want to see Tomahawk start allocating this gold to their carries in the Tristana, at least. Nithos to the 3 assists is going to be feeling pretty bad about that.
And Tomahawk Mishaps are trying to silence the doubters, aka me, making some plays to try to come back into this game. We saw 2 plays in a row when Captain Morgan's lads got something on one side. They were coming up clutch on the other side.
Oh, and the 1v1 just lasted too long. Genos wasn't able to actually deal enough damage while his tentacles were out. Aurelia just walked out of them. Was able to avoid all of that damage, just kite him around and sustain with that Bork. It just wasn't enough, and the CS lead is really starting to show here for the top lane.
Yeah, Genos has fought or had a couple good, 1v1s where he showed the power of the counter pick, but it might have just been too far down as he's, just continuing to bleed gold against this Aurelia. She's on the tier 2. I don't know how low it is, but Ari's going to answer it.
It's moments of hope for the side of the Tomahawk boys, but it's just you hit tab and you look at that scoreboard, you see the Aurelia CS, you see how ahead the Silas and the Sejuani are, you see the fact that Sejuani already has 82 stacks in the Heartsteel and Set just has the components. It just starts to feel so grim for the side of Tomahawk Mishaps. And Bentage on Fraud Watch, saying he's going to support but can't watch it, but still in the Twitch chat, typing some messages. Unless he's on chat only, going to have to be a fraud call on that one. But as Tomahawk's going to start this dragon up, we'll see if the Jinx ultimate can take this one away again this time. Hopefully not. He's maybe going to be looking for it. Does fire that ultimate in. No, he steals it again! Absolutely not. There's no way even the Braum shield was up to take it, but it doesn't matter. You have to just let it not hit you. You have to let it not hit you. It can just go through the dragon. It won't hit it. It just can't hit a champion, and they let him steal it again.
It is going to take the strongest minds to recover mentally from those two dragons getting taken from them.
Oh, it's painful, Kazuto. I have to eat the plum. As we see another fight going through here, Genos
though.
Just dealing so much damage. Yeah, with these tentacles in these corners, exactly what you want with the Alawi. Flashes out, and a Fluffy, though, has the Braum passive on and might get stunned up. Has the exhaust as well, and that's a shutdown. Going to Redacted on the Ari. Gets the reset. We'll see if he can get a charm here. Does dash over the wall. Will the charm land? No. Opts to disengage. They see Tortuga there on the Jinx. They don't want to go too far. Gets the charm. Nice charm onto Without Pride, but it's not quite going to be enough for a kill at this moment. But you need these small moments if you are on the side of Tomahawk. Corridor fights are going to be your friend, as Nithros on a warpath now just wants to get something done in this game. They know this Aurelia is dead. They know there's time here on the map for them to do something, but having lost those two dragons feels so bad.
And what's seeming to become the new Tomahawk Mishaps, mantra is a disaster happens, and that's finally when they're able to make a play and get some gold back for themselves. It seems like every time this game something really bad has happened, they finally been able to get a fight that's good for them, but unfortunately for them, it's costing them everything.
Yeah, what did it cost? Everything. Insert Thanos meme. Every time for these dragons, it's just, at this point, just SOS. Someone please tell these men, you just don't let it hit the champion around the objective or the dragon. Then it will do the splash damage. That's how it steals it. If it just goes straight through, it will never hit it can't damage the objective by itself. It will just go through it. So hopefully they figured that one out. If we see another one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep it together. Nithros getting jumped on here by Kid Buu. Going to jump out, but gets stunned. Crucially, did not end up buffering that, but should be okay. Actually, the ultimate going down as well. Kid Buu channeling a little bit of blabber here with the Sejuani flash play and just getting yeeted right back out. A nice Braum ultimate for the peel. And Nithros having to burn the flash there and the ult, but barrier is still available, but will have to take the recall as the lads take the mid tier 1.
Now they're looking for more here. Tristana's
they're looking
the base.
On the way back, and Ari here as well. Should be enough wave clears. We'll see if we get a charm here. Maybe they can start something off. There's no flash on the Sejuani. Remember this, and the dash is now down as well. So Sejuani should end up falling here if they can actually land any more damage on him. He's so low. Ari goes in, but doesn't get the second part of that Q, but the set damage should be enough. Haymaker will end up taking him out, and AWAM showing why he picked this set, showing that even though he's down 0-4, he can still go in and get something done on the set, dunking that Sejuani. That's why we picked this champion. We want to dunk these high health targets back into their team and do that damage later. It's so satisfying later in the game if this one goes late, if we see how much health this Sejuani gets and just look at the health bars of his teammates. If he gets dunked back into them, it will be an absolute explosion. But Tomahawk fighting back, still down about 5k, but they're making some things happen here. As Fel, great support on the top lane to apply this passive. Might be enough to keep Aurelia in the tentacles long enough, but just getting taken out. so low, and Fell just going to end up feeding a kill here over to Fluffy. Nither's coming up to the top lane to just share in some spectator gaming, but I think you get the XP if you're close enough, so.
Yeah, a little bit overextended from Fluffy. Wasn't tracking where the enemy was. Just decided to go for the ego 1v1 and gets punished for it. And we'll see if surely it doesn't happen 3 times. Tomahawk mishaps definitely the odds are in their favor for this dragon.
Yeah, nobody steals 3 dragons in a row from Tomahawk mishaps. Surely not.
I mean, it looks like they're not even going to be able to contest, though, now that Captain Morgan's lads is all grouped up for it. No chance of getting it stolen this time.
Yeah, I don't think there will be a steal coming through for the side of the Tomahawk boys. Going to let this one go, and now, sadly, because of those 2 initial steals, this will be soul point for Ocean Soul, picked up by Captain Morgan's lads, and they're going straight to the Otacon. And I don't think there's any way that they can contest it for Tomahawk. They're just giving this as well.
Yeah, they're just giving it. They're not. I mean, you see Set trying to move for a crossplay on the Aurelia, but he's walking back and forth, kind of not making up his mind whether they want to attack this Aurelia. So they're really just giving this for free. Dragon and Otacon for absolutely nothing on the side of Captain Morgan's lads.
Yeah, they're just taking that, and maybe they're thinking they can scale it up here with the Tristana, set Alawi comp, but I just don't really see it. I think for the side of Captain Morgan's lads, you're feeling pretty good about the fact that your team has the Dragon Soul, you have a 4K gold lead, and you have the better scaling comp. So it's not like there's really a moment or a window that you can wait for if you're Tomahawk, because you're just, every second that ticks by is better and better. As Genos now going for the 1v1 again here, but it just looks like these are getting worse and worse for him. It's just so low, has to flash out, but the Aurelia is just too tanky at this point. Has the Hallbreaker, has the Bork, has those anti-heal, and the upgraded boots there, as the rest of his team sitting in the mid lane gonna have a really hard time dealing with this Jinx now at this point. Sitting at the Yuntao, Silas fed as well, and it just seems like the Sejuani is an unmovable bulwark.
Yeah, Tomahawk just does not seem to care about the gold or any items that the enemy has. They're just gonna keep fighting and keep trying, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, they're just gonna get rolled.
I mean, you gotta respect the heart. If there's anything you can say about a Timberland team, you're gonna have heart. Sometimes that heart is gonna result in, standing too close to your friends in the Dragon Pit, and unfortunate Jinx rockets, looking like the end of Arcane Season 1 in there. It's coming through and stealing the objective, but yeah, sometimes it'll work out. They've had a few good moments this game. They're not too far behind. And, if we want to put on the copium nozzle for a little bit here, it is an Ocean Soul, not the best soul, probably the second worst one you can have aside from Chemtech. Maybe even the worst one, honestly. As Chemtech gives you tenacity, which is kind of cool. But yeah, not a great soul. They still have Nithros on Tristana. He's not too far behind. Going to be hitting that Infinity Edge soon. Has that call already completed. Still needs to sell that. Maybe waiting for the Infinity Edge gold to do that. And 2-item Tristana is nothing to slouch at, but
yeah, but with how much
it's
Sejuani has, she's gonna need at least 3.
You're gonna need 3 items, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're coping right now, all right? there's an angle. The Sejuani, every piece of gold the Sejuani spends is just more damage into the pocket of Set on that ultimate dunk. So we got to remember that.
That's
as
true.
AWAMS has to line up a good angle there. And maybe we can see it happen. The Wombo combos have occurred as the turret bounty taken in top lane by the Alawi. Genos going to grab that one for his team as Captain Morgan's lads look to just break down this mid tower. They really want to take this one, but they're kind of struggling with the wave clear. As a charm will land, Tortuga actually going to have to burn the cleanse there, so that's a great cooldown blown by Redacted. As Geno's trying to cross in a pretty bad spot, but going to pop the ultimate in a decent spot. Should just get taken out here though, gets chain CC'd and just killed. Kid Buu, kill secured yet again, as now we see B-Sim with a phenomenal Braum ultimate there to Wombo Combo on his team, picks up the double kill. Jinx Rocket gonna come through as well and just take him down, and B-Sim with the chain proc for the second part, coming through there to secure that kill as well. And now Nithros alone, by himself, walking back to the fountain to heal up and lick his wounds, as Captain Morgan's lads just looking completely dominant in this game too.
Yeah, it's looking like Zeka Sin on this Silas right here, just making hella plays.
That is what they call him. They call B-Sin Faker, actually, is what they call him.
Faker Sin.
Faker Sin.
A little unfortunate for Captain Morgan's lads that they did not pick up anything off of that ace. I feel like they could have very easily just moved over to the Baron and taken that for free, but they're prioritizing the Ocean Souls, so they got their backs in. They're heading back out on the map, going to get some control over the Dragon area, and then after that, I mean, they should be able to take the Baron for free.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like there's going to be much that the Tomahawk Mishap squad can do this game. Just so far behind. You have an Ahri that looks like she can have some impact. You have the Tristana that just looks like we're barely getting there. Have the 2 items, but it just looks like it's not enough to get through these health bars. And just actually really just Kid Buu's health bar and that Sejuani. And as you just see top lane just being terrorized over and over again, Geno's just not having a good time playing against this fluffy Aurelia. It's a decent amount of damage coming down there, but Nithros now here maybe to clean it up, as they do have the kill going to him. Thank God Nithros gets that. I think there would have been some angry messages typed to Major Crockett if that would have gone the other way. But Nithros ends up taking that, but crucially, they're just turning on the Baron now. The lads say, yeah, you killed our top laner. We killed your top laner, but we have so much pride on the map, like you said, Kazuto. They're just turning for the Baron.
Yeah, and they can just tank this forever with the Ocean Soul. They don't have to worry about the damage that the Baron does, and it doesn't even look like Tomahawk Mishaps knows that it's happening. They're not going to contest at all.
Yeah, not going to contest. Maybe they just figure it's happening, but no, they can't contest, really. There's not much you can do. Figure they'd be walking into a trap, which, honestly, with the Silas being in the bush there behind the pit and Sejuani ultimate still up, would have been the case. As now Captain Morgan's lads just going to push it down mid with the Baron buff. They have the Dragon's Soul. Only need that Elder for the Exodia, but I'm not sure if we're gonna even need to see that one. Shout out Boosted selling the Ego cards or whatever. But don't think we're going to have to see the Exodia here. Should be able to end the game in short order.
If they're playing 3 lanes, usually playing 2 is the safer bet, but when you're this far ahead, you can easily just play 3 lanes, so they can't match you anywhere. They just take all 3 inhibitors at the same time.
Yeah, gonna play by the book League of Legends here as Nithros starting to pop off here with that, and that will be the Sejuani dunk actually. A good amount of damage done. Kid Buu's really low. The Flash Haymaker not quite enough from AWAMS. And Fluffy on the side, threatening. Kid Buu's so low, having to exit the fight there, and Fluffy now threatening again in that top lane. A moment there from the side of Tomahawk looking for something that was the flash down on the set though, so much of that playmaking ability taken away for that snap surprise angle. Doing the sit-ups there by the tower is exactly what you're going to want to see. Going to need to do those sit-ups a little faster, though, if he wants to get strong enough to carry this game. But Genos, level 16 on the Alawi is ticked over to the level 18 of Fluffy, so maybe you're going to be doing a little bit more. It's Braum trying his best to block these minions from hitting the tower, but they just can't do it. The tower will go down. Nithros having to jump out, has almost no HP as Kid Buu now frontlining. Just doing so much, and AWAMS just can't do it. It's not enough. He's going to get taken down here. Jinx will get excited on the reset, and that's the 3 Grub team in the base. Jungler down. They should be able to just knock these towers down in a clinical response to game 2 to the aggression from Tomahawks early on, but it just didn't work out. It didn't work out in the early game. It didn't work out in the mid game. We saw some moments from Tomahawks, but it just wasn't enough. As Genos pops the ultimate, but ends up falling. Nithros just jumping back into the fountain, but dies anyway. fell with the shield wall up in the back, but just no HP, nothing to do in the game here at the end, and it will be game 2 going to Captain Morgan's lads with the clean 2-0 sweep in dominant fashion.
Yeah, and we saw Tomahawk Mishap's last, ditch attempt to try to save the game with the pretty good set ultimate onto the back line, but just the Ocean Soul plus the massive wallets from Captain Morgan's lads, it wasn't enough. They're able to just very cleanly close out this win.
Yeah, very clean and very impressive play. Honestly, from the side of Captain Morgan's lads, just absolute dominance in the jungle there. Jungle mid really beast in popping off on that Silas. And, we expected to see some brilliance out of Nightthirst this game, but it was just so hard for him to play the game when he didn't have much of a front line to work with. The jungle got put so far behind early. The top lane was losing as well. It's just not much they could do. They had some good moments, like you said, but it just wasn't enough. And, Beeson, Kid Buu, Tortuga, all of them on the side of Captain Morgan's lads just playing phenomenal today.
Yeah, no, they looked very clean. They worked really well together. Pretty good rotations. You have a couple overextensions and bad fights here and there, but other than that, they look very strong and work very well together.
Absolutely. Definitely not taking any draft notes from these games for my team personally to ban any certain champions away from certain people. Uh, but just know that we're going to see much less of the Irelia champion in future games. Hopefully, phenomenal performance from them, and yeah, great stream. Didn't get a chance to catch the first one, but I don't really know what was going on during that time. I guess something was happening. But phenomenal games today, and the great cast, and as always, great production from the Tavern Boys.
Yeah, be sure to check out the Gaming Tavern next Sunday at 4 p.m. for next week's matches. I don't know what the specific matchups are, but we'll be back then.
Yep, we'll be back then. We will see you guys there for some more League of Legends.